We would ask Minister Champagne and the entirety of the Liberal government to represent canola industry workers in Saskatchewan and across Canada. We would ask Minister Champagne and the Liberal government to represent Saskatchewan communities where the canola industry is paramount in how we create wealth in our families, and represent the canola industry more broadly by engaging with China immediately in an effort to have these tariffs removed from such an important industry that's creating wealth for Saskatchewan and Canadian families. The provincial government also has a role to play, whether it be with the United States of America or even with countries like China or countries where we have most certainly an exporting interest. We need to advocate and to educate as to what the impacts of these ill-conceived decisions are by foreign governments, and at times educate and advocate with our own federal government with respect to what the impacts of decisions that they are making are. Right now we have 5 challenges ahead of us in Saskatchewan. The first 3 are from the USA, the fentanyl and the border security tariffs of 25 and 10% on various items. The second would be the tariffs that are in place today, the steel and aluminum tariffs, which have an impact on Canadian and, yes, Saskatchewan businesses and families. The third would be the reciprocal tariffs that are poised to come into place on April the 2nd. And we need to advocate and educate the United States of American government on what the impacts of those tariffs are, not only on American families, but on the broader effort and initiative of North American energy and food security, as well as manufacturing security. The fourth challenge that we have as Canadian industries, Canadian families, and Canadian people is the threat of counter tariffs. And those are specifically designed to financially impact in the jobs that are in our nation, impact Canadians, not necessarily directly Americans. And fifth, and equally as important as the first 4, and probably the most urgent for the province of Saskatchewan, and in the case of seafood, the seafood counter tariff, Atlantic Canadians as well, is the Chinese counter tariff to the federal government's decision to appease the previous president with respect to the tariff on Chinese EVs. We would ask the federal government and Minister Champagne to stand by his words, to represent all Canadian workers, to represent all Canadian communities, and to represent all Canadian industries that are creating wealth. And we will continue to advocate not only with him, but with other parties as well, as we do find ourselves on the path to an election in this nation, on the path ultimately to some certainty on who is going to lead us through the course of the next 4 years, and to negotiate not only with the American president, but to negotiate with other export markets around the world. But we would ask the Liberal government, in the interests of Canadians that live in the province of Saskatchewan, across Western Canada, and I would say across the nation, they need to engage with the Chinese government to show a signal that they are ready to negotiate and to find a path to a non-tariff environment, or the legacy of closed industries and shuttered industries will be theirs throughout the campaign. Anything to add? We just say we would close in thanking the industries that have engaged